Alright guys, so this is our workspace now, and the first thing that I want you to understand is that you can think of this as an empty canvas. So this is where we're going to do our modeling in Fusion 360. So the way we go about CAD modeling is that we always start with a sketch, and then we create a solid out of the sketch, and then from a solid we create a component. Then from a component we create an assembly, and then that we can send it over for manufacturing. We can also send a component for manufacturing using manufacturing drawings. So let's get right into it. So as you can see here, we have white space. What we can do as well is just to highlight this icon that looks like a bulb, turn it on, and then we see a coordinate system. Now, if we scroll down here at the bottom, we have some controls here. So the first one here is called free orbit. If you left click here, you'll see you will be able to rotate around the canvas. So if you had a model here, you would be able to rotate it. I'll show you later on how you can do that. And you can also do that by also clicking the middle button on your mouse and holding down the shift button, depending on whether you are using Windows or MacBook. For me, I have to click the shift button and hold down also the middle mouse button. I'll be able to go into free orbit. Then the next control as well is this one. It's called look at. So if you left click on this one, you can select a plane. So all these highlighted surfaces that you see here in orange are actually called planes, right? So you have your front view, your top view, and your bottom view. So this is like third angle projection, right? Yeah, it's a cubicle, three-dimensional. You have your top view, you have front view, and then you have your bottom view. So if I click one of these planes here, you will see it'll view it normal to that. What I also want you to take note is the top right cubicle here. So this cubicle here is an easy way to tell whether you're on the left hand side or you're on the right. So you can click these little triangles here and it will rotate your view here or your model. So if you click here, you'll see now we have switched to the front view. So if you want to sketch on the top view, you just click here and then you're on the top view. You can also left click this cubicle, and when you move it around, you are able to rotate your model. So keep this in mind. We're going to use it quite often during modeling here. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and view it normal to this view. So I'm going to click here. Then I'm going to view it normal to that. Then here you'll see that another icon here of a hand. And if you click on that, you will be able to pan around. So you'll be able to drag your model around the screen or around the canvas. And if you let go, you can exit that. Then another icon or useful feature is the zoom button, right? If you click on this, you're able to zoom in and you're able to zoom out. I think that's pretty clear. And then you have the feet. So this is quite useful. Say for example, you want to zoom in a specific area. You can just select the area you want to zoom in and it'll highlight it. If you want to go back, you can just simply come here and click fit. So what this does, it'll fit everything into the window that you're looking at. Then we're going to move on here, display settings. So here, it's not going to be really useful now because we don't have a model, but I'll show you later on. You can see your model shaded or shaded with edges, but I just want us to come here on the environment. So some people, it might be difficult to work on a white background. Say you want to change the background of the canvas. You can just come here, click on dark sky, and all of a sudden you have a dark background. So if it is easy for you to sketch with this background, you can change it like that. You can also change it to gray or any other color that you want. But I like keeping it like this. Then the other thing that is useful is the layout grid. So if you click here, you see now you have almost like a grid that tells you, and it gives you the center and how far you are. This is easy to use because once we start modeling or sketching, it becomes easy for us to snap something on a specific line and to tell whether we are drawing 90 degrees or an offset. So having a grid is quite helpful, but if you want to turn it off, you can just simply come here and turn off the grid. But I'm going to keep it on for our modeling. And then here, if you want to see multiple views at once, you can do that like this. But for our modeling, this is not going to be useful, so I'm just going to turn it off. All right. So now that we know some of the basic controls, we're not going to go through all these controls here because we're not going to use all of them. Some of them I feel like even if you spend 2 years working in CAD modeling, you're not going to use all of them. So I will explain them as soon as we get to them and we start using them. So the first thing that we want to do, as I mentioned, we start by sketching, and then from sketching we create a solid, and then from the solid we can create a component. So let's start by creating a component here. So I'm going to come to this model tree, right? And then here we have a features history tree, right? So every time we create a sketch or an extrude, it's going to show up here. And then here is our features tree, right? Or our browser. So in order to create our component, we're going to click on the top level assembly. So you will see every time a component is active, it'll have this dotted circle here. So if this is dotted, it means that it is active. So I'm going to go ahead and click here, then right click, and I'm going to say add new component. And you will see as soon as we do that, it adds a component under that same component. And this changes from a component to an assembly. This is very important. So this is one component and this is an assembly. And if you click here, you see you can't see that component. So it means that this component is inside of this assembly. Now I'm just going to highlight it here, soft left click, and I'm going to rename it. And I'm going to call this robot base 1. All right. And you will see if I click here, I have a drop down and then I have the origin. So I want to view the origin of this part. I see that it's there. So now the first thing that we want to do is create a sketch. Now before we create a sketch, we need to create a sketch on a plane. Now you can create a sketch on a surface or on a plane. A plane needs to be a planar sort of like view where it's not at an angle, just needs to be flat. You can see this is a plane and a plane. So if you have a curved surface, you can't really sketch on it. Well, you can, but it needs to be on a specific plane. So to sketch something, we need to select a plane. Because we don't have any surfaces yet, we're going to select a plane. You can sketch on the front view, or you can sketch on the top view. All right. So we're going to start sketching from the top view. And the way we do that, you come here, you click on sketch, right? And then you select the view that you want. Then I want to show you a shortcut key. And the shortcut to access the toolbox is S. So if you click S, you will see here it will pop up some model shortcuts. And in this dialog, you can simply type in sketch, and then you can select sketch from here. Okay, so those are the two ways in which you can create a sketch. But I'll be using this shortcut a lot, so I also recommend that you start using it. So let's do that again. You click S, and then this menu or dialog box will pop up. Alternatively, you can just click here and the same thing will happen. All right, so let's go ahead, click S, create a sketch. Just type in sketch and select it here. All right, and then I select this plane, and then you will see on my right hand side of the screen I have a dialog box, and in this dialog box I have basically options of what I want. Right, you have options and then you have constraints. Right, so these are the constraints of the sketches, these are the options of the sketches that I have, and then here you have constraints, and you'll see how we're going to use this later on as we progress. So let's get right into it. So I'm just going to zoom in a bit more. So say for example you want to sketch a line, and the way you do that, once again, you just simply come here on the drop down and you can select line and you can start sketching a line. Voila, you've created your first sketch, right? Then the other thing I want to show you is the undo button. Say for example you are not happy with your sketch, you can either delete the line. So you select the line, you can see that it's highlighted, and you click the delete button and you delete the line. If you want to undo, you can come here at the top, undo, undo, undo. All right. Since we want to create the base of the robot, I'm gonna go ahead and create a rectangle. Right. Once again, the way in which you do that, I'm gonna click on the shortcut key for the toolbox. I'm gonna click S, and then from there I see all these different functions, different features I can sketch with. So because I want a rectangle, I'm gonna type in rectangle. And you can see there's different types of rectangle. You have a center rectangle and a 2-point rectangle. Now a center rectangle, you start sketching from a center point. So let me show you how that works. I'm going to click here. So this is how a center rectangle works. So you can clearly see everything is sketched from the center outward. Now a corner rectangle, on the other hand, I'm going to click the toolbox button again, shortcut key S, type in rectangle, then I'm going to scroll down, 2-point rectangle. So this one works differently. It starts at a corner point. So I'm going to click here, left click, then I'm going to drag and drag, and you can clearly see this one is not starting from any center point. It's starting from a corner and all the way. And if I want to keep it, I just click here to snap it on, and then there I have a rectangle. All right, click undo. And you can also do that with a circle as well. And once again, you can also come here and you will be able to do the rectangles or get any arc that you want. So we're going to add a center rectangle here. And to do that, I'm going to type in S for our toolbox. I'm going to search for rectangle. We want a center rectangle. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to hover over the center of the coordinate system. And you can see, guys, if you hover over a certain point or a point of interest, Fusion 360 will highlight it as a square, or it will highlight it as a point. So you can see if I hover closer to this, it highlights it as a square. So I'm just going to snap it on here at the center. Then I'm going to drag my square like this. Voila, I have that. Now, obviously, this is not the dimensions that we want to add. So in order to change the dimensions, you can come here at the top and click on dimensions. Click here and then add your dimensions that you want. I'm just going to zoom out. Click escape. Now, another shortcut for dimension is to click D. So if you click D, you will see your cursor is going to change to indicate now that you are in dimensioning mode. right? Another way to do dimension is to go through our toolbox, as I've already showed you. Type in S, and then inside the dialog box, type in dimension, and this is how you can find dimension. So there's different ways in which you can go about it, but I highly recommend you guys start learning the shortcut keys because it's going to become easy for you to model using the shortcut keys. So the shortcut key for dimension is to click D, or just simply use the toolbox and type dimension, and then it will be able to pop up. Another cool feature that Fusion 360 has is that you can see these are all my sketching features that I have. If I'm going to be using dimension a lot, I can simply click on this button, and now it's going to be on my toolbox. So for example, if I click S, now dimension is there, right? If I want to remove it, I just type this, and then I'm going to remove it from there. So those are some of the helpful functions we're going to be using throughout this course and throughout this lesson. So just keep that in mind. Okay, now that we've given the rectangle the dimension, we're going to give it some length. So once again, I'm going to use the shortcut key D. Click here. Type in the value. Voila, I have that. Then I'm going to click escape. Now, if you remember, guys, we had some holes here and we had some holes here. So now I'm going to show you another key feature of sketch mode, and that is construction. So if you can look at this rectangle, we have some construction lines here. This construction line, they don't really create any shape. The shape that we have is a rectangle, right? So what this construction line do is to ensure that this length and this length are equal, and this length and this length is equal. Those lines are equal, right? And as the name suggests, construction lines are just for constructing our sketch. You can think about it as a pencil sketch, and then this as a pen sketch, right? So you can always erase the construction line. They are not really what you want to create. They're just there to assist you, and you will see how we're going to use them now. So now I want to create circles here, and the way to go about it, I'm gonna go to my toolbox, type S, type in line, click line, and then I'm gonna switch this on. I'm gonna click construction here, turn this on. And guys, you can see when I'm creating a line, it shows you the degrees. So if my line is not 90 degrees or my line is not exactly straight, you can clearly see here it's 7.1 degrees and the length of the line. So always try to make sure that your line is 90 degrees if you want to draw a straight line. So I'm going to go ahead and just place this line anywhere. I'm going to snap it on. Click escape. All right. So now I have my construction line. I'm going to give it some dimensions now. So the first dimension I want to give it is, I'm going to click D. I'm going to select this point here. You see if I hover on this point, it becomes highlighted. So I'm going to click on it. Then I'm going to hold down the control button. Then I'm going to use the left mouse button. And then I'm going to click on my dimension. And this needs to be 20. Then I'm going to click on the line again, hold down the control button, and then click on this line. And then now I'm going to dimension the size of the line. Just going to click on it, and I want this to be 56. All right, going to click the button escape because we're done with the construction. And then now I'm going to switch the construction mode off because now I want to sketch with my pen because I know where I want to sketch. Now I'm going to go to my toolbox. I want to construct a circle. So I'm going to type in circle. And this shows up. So you'll see for this particular lesson in this video, I'm gonna go through the long method, but as we progress throughout the other lessons, I'm not gonna mention all these things in detail. I'm just gonna use the shortcut keys. So for this lesson, I'm just gonna go through the long way. So we want a center circle, center diameter circle, right? Just like the rectangle, we start sketching from the center. So I'm gonna go to this point, click, left click, and then you'll see I can select any size that I want. So now I'm just gonna type in 3, and then I'm gonna type in C. The C is the shortcut key for circle. And then you can see if I hover on this point, it becomes square. And this is very important, guys. So this is just any random point, but if I hover on this one specifically, it becomes a square. And this is to show that this is a point of interest. So make sure it is highlighted with a square there. You will see it'll say place center point, right? So I'm gonna left click here, once again, type 3, and then voila, we have created our circles here. You can clearly see that our construction line is dotted, but then the sketch is in a hard line. It's a hard solid line. Then now I'm going to show you a cool feature of CAD modeling. Now, say for example, we want to create these holes exactly in the same position, but then on the left hand side or at the bottom side here, right? One way is to go through the long method, create a line, then create a circle and another circle here, right? So someone thought, why don't we just mirror these features, right? Why can't we just click a button and easily replicate these features on this side? So the way in which we do that, we're gonna add a construction line at the center first. So let's go ahead and add a construction line. Click the toolbox, S. Guys, once again, if you want to access all these features, you can just simply come here to sketch here, and then you'll find the line. I'm just using the shortcut now. So I type in S, then I type in line, I switch on construction mode, and I create a construction line here, all the way here at the center. So I'm not really interested in the dimension, click escape. Then now I'm gonna go to my toolbox again, type in S, and then now I'm gonna look for the mirror feature. I'm gonna type in mirror. As the name suggests, it just mirrors features or components on the other side of a plane or the other side of the line. So I'm gonna click on mirror here, the first one. And then here, a dialog box will pop up. It will ask me what objects do I want to mirror and which line should I use for mirroring. So I'm gonna go ahead and select these two sketches here. You can see if I hover on the sketches, they become highlighted in blue. So I'm gonna hold down my control button, gonna select the sketch. You see here, it says one selected. I'm gonna hold down my control button, and then it says 2 selected, and then I'm gonna click here. Which line do I want to use? I'm gonna go to my construction line here, gonna click on it, and then you will see I have created these 2 sketches. Then I'm gonna click OK, and there we go. We have our 2 mirrored sketches on the other side. So mirroring is very, very useful, and we're gonna use it quite often for the rest of the course. So it's very important for you to understand how to mirror features. It's gonna save you time. Imagine this were 1,000 holes, right? And we had to construct each and every one of those holes. It would be very laborious. So the mirror feature is quite useful. And now we're gonna create holes at the back for a robot base. Once again, I'm gonna create a sketch, toolbox, line. Another shortcut key for a line, you can just simply type in L. So let me show you how that works. Just type in L and then you can start sketching a line. So that's what I'm gonna use later on in my videos when I start going quickly. Also for this video, I'm gonna be commenting a lot, but for the other videos, it's gonna be muted videos. I'm just gonna do all the sketches, especially if I do features that I've mentioned it before. So for the rest of the course, I'm not gonna be mentioning every single detail while I'm sketching. I'm only doing it now on this first video so that you can get a good understanding of where things are coming from and how am I doing things. So I'm gonna try the best way I can to explain every single detail. But for the rest of the course, I'm just gonna be going quickly and you can easily pause or rewind the video so that you can see what I did. All right, and I'm gonna be using the shortcut keys. All right, so now I'm in construction mode. As you can see there, I'm gonna create a random line, a vertical line. Okay, I think maybe at this point it is very useful for us to talk about this. So you can see some transparent features here. I'm not sure if you can see them. So these are called constraints. These constraints are here. You can have something coincident. So coincident, it means that it is at the same point or in the same line. So they're touching each other, or collinear, right? So they're in the same line, right? Things can be concentric, like circles, or you can have something at midpoint, right? So for example, this constraint, it means that this line, this construction line and this construction line are perpendicular to each other, which means they're at 90 degrees. And we're going to use constraint quite often here, and you'll see how powerful they are once we start using them. But without even using them, when you construct a vertical line and it crosses another one, Fusion 360 will automatically detect whether it's tangent or whether it's parallel or whether it's perpendicular. All right. So this constraint symbol means that it's perpendicular. This line and this line are perpendicular. All right. Going back to our construction line, I'm going to type in D for dimension. And this needs to be 40. Then I'm going to select this point, hold down Control. Because I want it at the center, I'm going to make this 20. And then now I'm going to exit construction mode. I'm going to add a circle. All right. So there we have our two circles there. Then we're going to add another two circles here. We're going to do exactly the same. We're going to add a construction line. But now I'm going to show you something very, very useful. So you can see I can start my line here and then dimension it all over again. But I want my line that I'm going to create to be exactly the same as this one. So it should be exactly the same line, and it should also be at the center of this line. So one way to do about it is to do it like we did it again. Just construct a random line and then dimension it. Or I can just simply click here, hover on this line. So I'm going to hover on this line and you will see, can you see the dotted blue lines? Which means that is the same position, it's in the same height. I'm going to click here, left click, then I'm going to drag it to the top. I'm going to make it vertical, and then here it's going to snap. So it means, can you see that square highlighted blue or turquoise color? It means that it's in the same height. It's a point of special interest. I'm going to left click, click escape. So now I have a construction line that is exactly the same height as this one. And once again, it has the constraint, it's perpendicular to this line as well. So I don't have to dimension this line. Then I'm going to add my circles again. 3mm diameter. All right. And then now I want to dimension this line from this point to that, 19. All right. Then the other thing I wanted to show you guys is that you can see here we have the coordinate system still showing here. In order to hide that or hide anything, we're just going to click on this light bulb. This is just to toggle through visibility of that particular feature. So if I want to switch it off, I can just click here and then I don't have it there. If I want to turn off the sketch, I can click here and then we don't have the sketch. All right. Okay, so now you're done with the sketch. Remember we said in CAD modeling, we always start with the sketch and then from the sketch, we create a solid model of that. All right. Now, if we want to rotate, okay, let's just click stop sketch because we're happy with the sketch, or you can click here, right? So if we want to rotate this, we can click on this cubicle, left click, and you will see that we just have a sketch, all right? There's no solid here or anything, we just have a sketch. Now, in order for us to create a solid, we need to click or use the extrude feature. Now, the extrude feature is a powerful feature in CAD modeling, and it allows us to create an extrude from a sketch. So this is where you find the extrude. You can also create a revolve. You'll see how we're going to use that later on, or a sweep or a loft. And you can play around with these different features. But let's just stick to extrude for now. You can use the shortcut key for E, or you can click here, right? If you click here, you'll see this dialog box. I'm gonna click cancel here and I'll show you the shortcut way to open this one. Once again, we type in S, and then from here, I'm gonna type in extrude, scroll here at the bottom, and then we're gonna add this, right? Alternatively, you can type in Q. It's like press pull as well, works in the same way. So I'm gonna go ahead and type in Q, click on my selection. So you see the sketch is not highlighted, but as soon as I hover on it, it becomes highlighted. Left click. And then now I get to choose the position. So you see this bold arrow here. This indicates in which direction do you want to pull this in, right? So if you want to pull it in the positive direction, you see we're creating a solid model out of our sketch. You can also pull it, just click, left click, and drag it to the bottom, and then create a negative fill, right? So for our purpose, we want to create a positive one. You can also manually adjust the distance here. And you can also change if you want to pull it on both sides. So now it's extruding on both sides. Right? Or we can just simply change here. We want to make it 2 millimeters. Click on orbit. And there we have the first component and the first part that we've created. So we went from a sketch to actually a solid model. Then the last thing that I want to show you is actually this history, this feature history. So you can see we started with the sketch, then we went to an extrude. So if you want to later on modify the sketch, you can just simply come here, edit the sketch, and then you can change anything that you want, click on stop, and then it will update accordingly. Similarly, you can also delete this. If you want to delete it, you can click here and delete it, but we don't want to do that now. So there we go, guys. We've just concluded our first lesson of how to create a solid in Fusion 360.